fam, how are we feeling tonight? Boy, I am amped up and excited for the fact that the Chargers are back up on the win column with 2 in a row. And boy, are we building up some momentum and steam. Jake Silva here on Chargers Syndicate. If you guys haven't done so already, welcome all Charger fans far and wide, coast to coast, tuning in for what we are about to talk about here on this live stream. If you haven't done so already, like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep you up to date on future and past live streams, videos, and more for your LA Chargers. If you want more of me, catch me on the AFC West Roundtable on Roundtable Sports every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, here on Roundtable Sports. Also, for you guys, I got a special treat here. So from all of us here at Syndicate Sports, we have our great sponsorship that is big on custom designs of miniature and realistic helmets right here for your very eyes. If you want to get your hands on one of these bad boys, go on to greengridiron.com. They got all the best selections of all of your favorite teams and including for your boats. Truly, man, absolutely love this thing. It looks so badass with the fact that we've got the visor to go with it. So check it out for yourself. Green Gridiron is who to look up as well. Link in the description as well. And also for your chances to get your hands on one of these great customizable helmets. So, all right, let's talk about it, Bolt fam, because we got a lot to really kind of engage and get into here tonight. So, okay, salute and bolt up to you. I hope Ben's Broncos beat Darcy's cocky little Chiefs. But here's the thing, though. He's been talking a bunch about like the Chargers were never going to do this. The Chargers were never going to do that. What's up, Jake? This is Matt, by the way, using my girlfriend's YouTube for no ads. Gotcha. Okay, what's going on, Matt? Appreciate you. Yeah, no, like that's the thing. He's been talking up and building up all this smoke and everything else. So I don't know what's going to happen here against the Chiefs, but yeah, the Denver Broncos. Ben's just been building up all the smoke. Now he's on center stage, and he better not be turning away now, because this is what he's been building up for quite some time. But let's talk about it though. So the Chargers get a big time win against the Cleveland Browns, which we know the Browns right now are an absolute tire fire at 2-7 now. 1-4 in their division, and they were obviously sellers. The Chargers get the business done against the Cleveland Browns, and the funny thing is this was doing the Baltimore Ravens a bit of a favor. The Ravens, they got upset and they lost to the Cleveland Browns, which should have been a win, but didn't seem to be the case. And so John Harbaugh, I'm sure, made a quick phone call to his big brother, Jim Harbaugh, and said, hey, can you get the Cleveland Browns for us, by the way? And we promise we're going to dog walk the Denver Broncos just so you guys are sitting comfortably up in second place. The Chargers are 5-3, and they're 3-2 in their division. The Chargers are gaining a lot of steam and momentum, and going into next week against the Tennessee Titans this Sunday, that is going to be interesting. So to kind of recap it up on this, the Cleveland Browns, you have no idea how many live streams I've been on where people were just talking so highly of the Cleveland Browns, thinking that the Chargers were not capable of scoring touchdowns after what we just saw this past Sunday. I mean, they were talking up all this nonchalant, crazy talk just because Jameis Winston literally looked good against the Baltimore Ravens after Deshaun Watson goes down with an injury and does what he's supposed to, be a capable backup and lead it. It was insane. So the Chargers reminded the Cleveland Browns, we're going to make Jameis Winston look like the Jameis Winston of old. And they certainly did that. The fact that they came away with 3 interceptions, which I'll be honest with you, should have been 6 interceptions against Jameis Winston, because the way he's been throwing and where he And just kind of just the positions that he was throwing at was dangerous. Now, 2 of them were off of some of the Chargers secondary's hands. But the one that I thought was interesting, though, was the one that Derwin James was wrestling for. And I'm kind of surprised. The ball didn't even look like it touched the ground. I was trying to get at least another angle up on that, but it didn't look like it touched the ground. It looked a lot like he wrestled with the ball and got the ball in his hands, but they didn't even call that an interception. So I thought it was crazy. But either way, they came away with 3 interceptions against Jameis Winston, who only had 1 touchdown pass, 3 picks, and a quarterback rating of 50. And the interceptions credited to Alohi Gilman, Tarheeb Still the rookie, and Elijah Molden yet again with another interception. Molden, week after week, and the more I see this kid playing, the more I just see him be just such an absolute steal for the Chargers, at least for the price that they got him at out of the Tennessee Titans. So, to me, Elijah Molden very much stepped up in a big way. And he's continuing to produce for this team. I'm going to get into some comments here. At least Ben is funny. Darcy just seems like an arrogant punk. I mean, he can be because his team is good, but they aren't really great this year. I know. But here's the thing, though. We keep saying that, but yet they're still winning games. I don't know how my autocorrect thinks Ben means benched. I guess either can be right. I really hope Will Levis plays this weekend. That will be the funniest game this year. Henley should have had his too. He was pissed. He missed it. Oh, yeah, Diane Henley with that one that really got out of his hands. Yeah, that was another interception that should have been. But in the end, defense was giving it to the Browns. The only thing that I think what they really did a great job on, they've held Nick Chubb to 39 yards. They held him to 39. And the other thing, the run game was existent for the Chargers. It existed. And so J.K. Dobbins came away with 14 carries, 85 yards, and had 2 rushing touchdowns in the game. So J.K. Dobbins in the run game started to produce, which was huge. And so I think it's I think with this kind of momentum, and especially with the way that right now the Titans are looking like, the Titans are beaten to hell. Like, they've already lost yet 2 more players to injury, with Lloyd Cushenberry being now out for the season, torn ACL. They've also lost a defender as well. So this Chargers team is coming in with some serious steam. And this will be a reunion game for Teair Tart, Christian Fulton, and Elijah Molden. I think those guys, it's going to be so pivotal for them because they are trying to make a serious statement as to why that they left the team and they came to the Chargers. And what's funny about that is that the Chargers, what they looked at from those guys is what added into why the defense looks very good because they're contributing. And Tennessee's defense, I give them credit. I give them props. That defense is never to be tampered with. So they have some very good, impactful defensive guys. But I will tell you, though, the Chargers have something to say against the Tennessee Titans. Because you know what happened last year? That was a WTF game. The Chargers should have never lost. How bad do you think our 3 or 4 former Titans want to beat the crap out of them this weekend? Oh, of course. This was last year's WTF game that we lost in week 3. I mean, the fact that we lost in an overtime and with the way that the play calling and the coaching, oh God, it was terrible. Our run game only existed on like 4 or 5 runs, though. The other runs were a couple of yards. Yes, they were J.K. Dobbins and company, they were fighting for yards. But you know what, though? At least he came away with 85 rushing yards and 2 rushing scores. I'll take that. I'll take that with anything. And I know that they fought hard, and I know that there wasn't too big of runs, but at least he was able to find his way into the end zone. That's a good sign. Does DJ Chark exist? Man, I really hope he does, because I'm tired of seeing from the injury report that he's hurt again, or he's not playing, because it's just like we've been building up for this guy to come in and see what he could do with this offense. And I don't know. Like, we're kind of right now in a state of unknown with DJ Chark. And I really am hoping that he comes in and makes a difference. And we have all of our receivers healthy. Because Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Josh Palmer, that's going to be huge. So to have DJ Chark there with just his play style is one that I'm like really hoping that we get a chance to see, because that has been one I'm not even sure with like what he brings to the table. That's why I got to see him. I got to see him play. But this team really turned up on the road. And now only having 2 games so far as a streak, I'm hoping they go and they win a third one. Because this team is building momentum to where they got in the second spot now in the AFC West after the Denver Broncos literally got dog walked. But also, this team has a lot to prove it itself. And I'll get more into that here later on. If we had Chark and QJ run deep and Palmer and Ladd do slants, that would be nice. 100%. That's why I'm hoping that DJ Chark does come back and he actually plays. Because I want to see what a full slate of wide receivers look like from just everything on the play design. That's the one thing that I'm curious of how that's going to look. But to kind of look here, the Chargers with their receiving, man, did Quentin Johnston have a week. 4 catches, 118 receiving yards, and a score. The Browns had 2 blown coverages in the secondary. And those were the guys like Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston. QJ, let's just give credit where credit is due, because he has stepped up in a massive way in year 2. And you know what? I talked about it because my question was with Jim Harbaugh when they hired him is Quentin Johnston going to stay the same and not mesh with this offense? Or could Jim Harbaugh find something in Quentin Johnston to make him work? And he did. Gerardo, bolt up. Honestly, this looks like a 2-3 year process. It does. And I'll get a little bit more into why on that. But Quentin Johnston this year, he has 18 catches, 282 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. He is proving to himself why people need to stop sleeping on him. Like, people that thought he was a bust right out of the gate, you just basically judge the book by its cover. And look, I was at a point where when it came to Quentin Johnston, I was never going to condemn him because of a terrible rookie season. There was everything that was going on. Coaching was terrible. The play design didn't seem like it meshed, and it just got out of hand. It got out of control. And so having Quentin Johnston now with Jim Harbaugh and this play design, it works. By the way, have you noticed that he has at least more touchdowns than Jackson Smith and Jigba and Jordan Addison? Think about that. Jordan Addison was a guy that went off last year in his rookie season with the Minnesota Vikings. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, here's what I will show you, though, too, from just from what we see with Jordan Addison this year. He has 19 catches, 273 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. That's Jordan Addison's. That's his numbers this year. And then when I get into Jackson Smith and Jigba, after Seattle lost to the Rams. With JSN, he has at least 50 catches, much more catches than those two combined. 568 receiving yards and 3 touchdown scores. Quentin Johnston is resurging. That's why I'm not going to condemn him for that rookie season. Because I was willing to, at the very least, see what the guy has. See what he can do. And he's proven that. He's proven it to himself. So Quentin Johnston has taken such big strides to being a reliable receiver and somebody to work. Brian, bolt up, man. Appreciate you coming on by. Our wide receiver core is looking a lot better, in my opinion. It is. And you know what's funny of it is, Ladd McConkey, the week before this with the New Orleans Saints, we saw with what he looked like. He's getting fed the ball more often. He's starting to become that wide receiver that's reliable. By the way, he had 5 catches for 64 yards. But he's crucial. Strives for first downs. A guy that doesn't give up on plays. And so this receiving core is starting to, and that's where I'll talk a little bit more up on the trade deadline as well. But this receiving core is really starting to make some serious strides. And this is why it's paving the way to when DJ Chark actually plays. Hopefully, this wide receiver core is striving. It's coming all together. So people that doubted this wide receiving core, where are they right now? I'm not saying this is a great receiving core, but it is also not a receiving core that can't produce, which is ridiculous. You do realize that Justin Herbert, even when some of the main guys went down, he managed to make these guys work. Chark should make an impact if 100%. I'm hoping so. Our interior O-line worries me the most. Yes. And you know what? I got to give credit to Myles Garrett, because the fact that he literally was toying with Rashawn Slater twice in 2 sacks, and he literally carried Joe Alt off his feet for a sack is like, the guy is not human. Myles Garrett is a beast, but that scared the hell out of me. But the other thing is, the interior offensive line, our offensive line did not play as great. It did not play as great all game long. But when it mattered most, they did get the needed stops that they needed to. Because you cannot allow Justin Herbert to literally come away with getting sacked 6 times. And you know what's funny? The Chargers did the same thing with Jameis Winston. They sacked him 6 times. You had Morgan Fox with 2 sacks, Khalil Mack with 1, half a sack for Cam Hart, and Thule, who had 2.5 sacks. So we were able to trade off. But I agree, our interior O-line, that's why I was kind of curious how that was going to be, because our O-line did not play that great. But they played situationally well to the point where we needed it, especially when we needed important runs for yards. We also needed important pass plays and protection for Justin Herbert to do his thing. So that's kind of where I am right now with this offensive line. Hopefully they can clean it up and they can get better against the Tennessee Titans this next week. But let me tell you something. I mean, Cameron Dicker, man, missing 1 extra point, was 3 for 4, and then missed a field goal. He killed me on my fantasy roster this week. The fact that I didn't even get any points from Cameron Dicker was hard. I am glad we did not overpay with draft picks for an elite player in the trade. We need those top draft picks next year for our interior O-line. I agree. So let's tap into this. So the Chargers come away in a big win against the Browns, 27-10. Now they are on a 2-game winning streak, 5-3, second in the AFC West, and they did the business. And I will also have a preview on the next live stream for the Tennessee Titans as well. But let's talk about today. Let's talk about why the Chargers did not end up trading for anybody. So the thing about the Chargers, and this is also what is true about Jim Harbaugh's team. Jim Harbaugh is somebody that wants to build the team from scratch. The person that he is not going to trade away, which is what I kept telling so many people, because why in the hell would the Chargers honestly do that? It makes no sense, is trading away Justin Herbert. I've never understood why people are even smoking that, because honestly, they need to stop. Herbert is not going anywhere. He was paid 5 years to be a franchise quarterback for this team. There's no way in hell that Justin Herbert's getting traded. No way. I don't care what anybody says. You see the smile on Jim Harbaugh's face every single day when he comes in and he sees Justin Herbert play or he sees Justin Herbert work out. He smiles because thank God he has a quarterback of the closest to his stature from Andrew Luck at Stanford. He does. Capable, productive, mobile, barely makes mistakes. And so Justin Herbert and the season that he's having right now is not talked about a whole lot. Why? Because he's not throwing the ball more often as he was before, that they are not putting a lot of pressure on his shoulders anymore, like what they were in the past, to at least bail this team out. Why? Because he's not throwing for a bunch of touchdown passes like he was in the past. You do realize he only has one pick. He is making quality throws, which is what Jim Harbaugh and this coaching staff want him to do. Herbert is quietly making a huge leap in his play this year. He is. And you know what's funny about it? I know a lot of people were shocked at one point because of the foot, but it has not changed the competitive stature that Justin Herbert has. I see him run. I see him throw. I see him talk and get excited. I've even seen him get frustrated when things don't go our way. Okay? That is pivotal to any organization when a franchise quarterback looks like that. That is huge. And so, to me, my big thing is that this is arguably, it may not look like it from a number standpoint, but this looks like a very good season out of Justin Herbert this year. This really does. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody. So, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it because here's the thing. When you're not talked about a lot, you are not distracted. You're focused. You make plays. And you then prove to people what it is you're trying to do. And right now, they are proving to you why they should be taken seriously. This team, this is the best team I've seen in a long time. Yeah, Herbert shows much more emotion this year as a leader. He does. Because when you are a franchise quarterback and you're paid that much, that's where the leadership has to prove itself. Because if it doesn't, that's where people criticize you the most. You have to show off and be a leader. You lead by example. And that's what Justin Herbert's doing. But Jim Harbaugh's teams, as I'm getting back on track, Jim Harbaugh wants to build this team from scratch. He practically, when the staff got hired, they had practically the same personnel. They just added a couple guys that were on 1-year prove-it deals. Okay, they bring in Elijah Molden. They bring in Christian Fulton. They bring in Teair Tart. They bring in Poona Ford. They bring in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And they also bring in a couple of others and draft very good quality rookies. Tariq Still, by the way, boy, did he have such a good show out against the Cleveland Browns. Pass defenses, interceptions. And that's what it is. I mean, and Cam Hart, he's showing up as well. All of our rookies are really starting to step up in big ways. From Ladd McConkey to Tariq Still to Cam Hart. Hopefully, we get to see exactly that as facilitators with Junior Colson. Because that's one guy that is Navarro Bowman's pick. And I trust Navarro Bowman there as our linebacker coach. The fact that you played alongside with Patrick Willis and you find talent similarly to his stature means there's something special in that kid. I trust Jim to build a team that can beat the Chiefs and end their supposed dynasty. Yes, this is what Jim Harbaugh does. And by the way, he has changed many programs and organizations over the past. Where you looked at Stanford, they were a 1-2 win team. They were a 1-2 win program. And Jim Harbaugh with Andrew Luck literally turned that program around and made them a winning program. Goes to San Francisco. They were on a bad streak. With Alex Smith and with everybody else, they went 13-3 and went to the NFC Championship game against the Giants in 2011. Was incredible how they turned that whole thing around. Leaves and goes to Michigan. Michigan, a big brand. They were on its losing streaks. And then comes in, even with a Shea Patterson. That program won. The program started winning games again. And to the point where once everything came to light, that program eventually won a national title at his alma mater. This team was 5-12 last year. And right now they're 5-3. And we're just at the halfway point. We're not fully there yet. But we are getting there. So Jim Harbaugh has done more than pays dues. A lot more. And so this Chargers team, unlike the past Chargers groups that we've had, this is by far the most invested I've ever seen this team be. I want us to beat the Ravens this year bad. Absolutely. And it's going to get to that point because our slate of games in the next few weeks, because with the Tennessee Titans this next week, that is our one last supposedly winnable game until we got Cincinnati at home on a Sunday night that got flexed. We have Baltimore Monday night at home. And then we've got the Falcons on the road. And then we got Kansas City on a Sunday night in Arrowhead. We have to be prepared for week 14. So this is the opportunity for the Chargers to seriously make a case to go on a run. So winning 2 straight, and hopefully if they get the job done against the Tennessee Titans, that'll be 3 straight. That's pretty good momentum train, especially when you are preparing for Cincinnati, for Baltimore, for Atlanta, for Kansas City, and our further opponents down the road. This is important for the Chargers. That's why they got to build the momentum. And that's why, like, with this team, so coming into the trade deadline, everybody was all talking about the Chargers need a receiver. The Chargers need this. The Chargers need that. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I was actually kind of hoping that the Chargers would make a move. I'm not going to lie to you. I was hoping that they would, because usually when you get into this kind of stuff, this is where you have to build momentum. Kansas City already got DeAndre Hopkins, and they brought back Kareem Hunt. Luckily, they did not get Marshawn Lattimore. I would have been really pissed off, because once again, that's where the Chiefs may potentially go on a 3-peat. And you know how daunted we'd feel if they did that again. So, to me, the Chiefs, that's going to be the most important game in game 2. Really will be. Because that's a statement that this team needs to make. They couldn't do it the first time. But you know what? Hopefully, second time's the charm. For real. But the Chargers and Joe Ortiz, they decided not to go for anybody. What Joe Ortiz looked at is a lot of these teams that made trades. They kind of made quote unquote overpaid trades, because they were trading away draft picks. They were taking on contract, financial stuff. And the Chargers, here's what you got to smile about, is that the Chargers come next season. And many people have spoke about this. Okay, David Drogmeyer, Lucked On Chargers, spoke about it. I guess you could kind of say in bits and pieces, the director also spoke about this. The Chargers next year, it's going to be their pivotal year. Here's what you got to understand. And history always has a way of repeating itself. And it always has, it always makes out an importance or what this team's future is. And the reason I say this is because this is a new regime. They do not want to screw this up. They want to build a team that is going to sustain excellence. Exactly, Gerardo. Trust the process. I see they're trying to build sustained excellence. Exactly. Because how long has it been since the Chargers, and I'm not joking here, when was the last time that they've had built success? It's been a long time, guys. It really has. And this is also coming from a point where the team got ripped away from San Diego to go to Los Angeles. And they then had to try to build a culture in Los Angeles. And you know that we are not wanted in Los Angeles at all. We're not. Okay, because you still have diehard Raider fans everywhere all around there. And then you've got the Rams. We're not wanted in LA. But Jim Harbaugh gives us breath of fresh air. He gives us new life. So that's why that I trust this process. I trust it. Yes, it sucks. I know what a lot of you were thinking. Boy, we should have got Marshawn Lattimore. Boy, we should have got T. Higgins. Boy, we should have got somebody. And you know what's funny though? Just earlier, there was a point where the Chargers were so close to potentially trading for the New England Patriots wide receiver KJ Osborne, and I was just like, oh God, no. Why? Why on earth would we honestly go trade for a guy, waste one of our picks that we don't even know if he's going to be productive? I'm serious. I would have never understood that. I would have never understood that trade. Because if you look at it, here's what's funny. The fact that they would go and try and get a guy like KJ Osborne, knowing he's not even that impactful, if you really want me to be honest. The guy has 7 catches, 57 yards, and 1 touchdown score. Barely doing a damn thing. Okay. And they've got Kendrick Bourne. They got Kayshon Boutte. They got Demario Douglas. Like, why would we go there? Why would we honestly go there? I never understood that. We need to win to be relevant in LA. Exactly. Love Mike Williams, but he's not worth the 5th round pick. Agreed. What we talked about is that the Chargers were thinking about bringing him back home, but they didn't want to trade. They didn't want to trade because that would have felt like a reach. So as much as I love Mike Williams and love with what he's done for us, that wasn't really worth it. Not worth it at all. So I'm glad we didn't end up trading for him, because I'm not going to go backwards again, where a guy who has been constantly hurt in his career, and then all of a sudden we give away an important draft pick because who knows if he gets hurt again. So that's the thing. So my big takeaway is the fact that we don't make a move at all is one that I could be okay with. Because this team is trying to build a long stretch tenure of success. The Chargers, by the end of this season, will have almost upwards and close of amount to $100 million in spending cap money next year. Out of all the contracts they've exercised, out of all of the contracts they got rid of, Joe Ortiz is cooking something special here. They're not eyeballing this year. If you really want to be honest, they're not. Our time is coming, guys. Our time is coming. Which is why we have to be patient with this. Look, I've been a fan since I was 7 years old. I've stuck true to these colors. I have been through, I've even watched film. Even when I swore to myself, I'm wearing the bolt and I'm going to wear it proudly and represent it, even on the AFC West roundtable. I watched past film that I wasn't even born or alive at that time to understand the Chargers' history. I had to watch film, I had to study it, and I had to make sure I understood the history in order for me to be an actual diehard fan. And I've also have lived through the time where the team went 14-2 and we lost to the damn Patriots in the playoffs. Crucial. I have also been through the time where we've been to the AFC Championship game in 2007 and we lost to the damn Patriots. And Phillip Rivers had a torn ACL. But yet still played, was competitive because he didn't want to go down like that. I've also witnessed a team give up on a coach that clearly was not the answer. We've had ups and we've had downs, victories and defeats. And yet I'm still sitting here. I'm still standing here. Okay? Our time is coming. Hey, Gerardo. So Cam Hart and Tarib Still were late round picks and changed our team. Yes, indeed. Currently living in Denver. I'm repping our Bolts every day. Hey, same here. I live here in Denver, Colorado as well. And listen, I lived in Vegas my entire life. What was great about Vegas is I had the choice for teams. We didn't have an NFL team in Vegas at the time. Not until the damn Raiders came around. Jeffrey, bolt up, man. Appreciate you coming on by. It's been a rough 21 plus years for me. You know it. You know it. It has been rough. And this is the opportunity and the time. Listen, look at a lot of the teams right now that are building their successes. You know how long it has taken for the Lions to finally be relevant? To finally be relevant now. Do you know how long it's taken since the previous years of successes with Joe Gibbs? How the Commanders right now are breathing life since Dan Snyder literally sold the team? Our time is going to be coming again, guys. We've won division titles in the past. We have had very talented players in the past. And we could, at the very least, say that we have been to a Super Bowl. Our time to officially hoist that trophy will come. Do I feel it could be this year? I don't think so. But if it does, is every Charger fan honestly going to be jumping up out of their seats or literally lighting up fireworks and celebrating when that day comes? I know for a fact, and call it what you will, I don't care. I'll be so emotional, tears running across my face, because the fact that I finally would see this team win a championship for real. Because that time is coming up. And listen, as a diehard, like as a born and bred Vegas native, I was so happy when the Vegas Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup. I'll be honest with you with that. It just meant a lot to the city and to the community when they finally won. I was really happy at the time. But the team is hungry. But at least I got a chance to witness a team win. This would mean so much in my life for this team to finally win one, and I got a chance to witness it. I could die in peace, honestly. I just need one in my lifetime. Exactly, Jeffrey. We all are due up for one. But that's the thing. Joe Ortiz literally looked at this and said, these teams are overpaying for a lot of these players. We're not going to do that. We have 10 draft picks next year that can be very impactful. We have spending money next year, and they're going to go and get impactful players. By the way, you know when Jim Harbaugh in his first year, how he turned that San Francisco team into a 13-3 team, making it as close to the NFC Championship, yet losing to the Giants. But that didn't matter because that wasn't their window to begin with, if you really want me to be honest. I truly believe we will win one within next 2-3 years when we have Jim and Joe's vision. Absolutely. 100%. We all agree. So that window in 2011 was not their window to win it. Their window was the next year in 2012. Because something I'm going to bring up, I do want to bring up the 2011 San Francisco 49ers. So in the season, that year with Pro Bowlers, they had Frank Gore, Joe Staley, Justin Smith, Patrick Willis, Carlos Rogers, Deshaun Goldson, Andy Lee, David Akers, and Brian Jennings. And they also had 6 All-Pros, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Justin Smith, David Akers, Andy Lee, and Carlos Rogers. 6 All-Pros. And about 9 Pro Bowlers that year. So when I tell you the guys that were impactful for this team, I mean, they turned Alex Smith's career around. They really did. Because a lot of people felt like that this was not looking good for them. But when you look at the draft, they drafted Aldon Smith with their 7th pick in the first round. And then in the second, they get Colin Kaepernick and Chris Culliver, the corner, Kennel Hunter, their running back. And they just went and got depth guys at that time. So when the team, when they got off to a start, they started off and beat the Seattle Seahawks and then lost to the Dallas Cowboys, being 1-1. But then all the way through from September 25th to November 20th that year, they were on a 8-game winning streak. So they finished up 13-3. And by the time they got into the playoffs, they beat the Saints in the divisional round, but then eventually lost in the NFC Championship. That's how far this team's gotten. Right? So with what this team is constructed like, it could look a lot like the 2011 year. It could. I would be very surprised. And this is where a lot of the slander talk about Justin Herbert, what has he done lately? What could he possibly do? All this crap that they keep feeding on, which is absolutely ridiculous, is all going to go away. And then people will finally start believing, but I am not going to sit and basically say, oh yeah, you knew. No, you were on the train of Herbert's overrated. Herbert won't do this. Herbert won't do that. I get sick and tired of that. So think about this. So that was the 2011 year. Now you look at the 2012 year. Okay. And in 2012, the team went 11-4-1. They won their division and they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. They had 9 Pro Bowlers and they also had 9 All-Pros. They had Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Justin Smith, Mike Iupati, Andy Lee, Deshaun Goldson, Joe Staley, Ahmad Brooks, and Aldon Smith. Now in this, the one guy that I thought which was really interesting was the first pick that they chose was A.J. Jenkins, the wide receiver from Illinois. And then they go and get LaMichael James from Oregon, which not as existent, but the other guys like Joe Looney and Darius Fleming and Jason Slowey, they then added guys that really worked out. So, and by the way, this was a time where there was transition at quarterback. I don't see this being a transition at quarterback at all. I really don't. So when you think about this team, because with Colin Kaepernick rising up to the occasion, you had Frank Gore, and then they had Anthony Dixon, the big running back, and then they also had LaMichael James. They also had Michael Crabtree, Ted Ginn, and they added Randy Moss. And they had Vernon Davis and Delaney Walker. This team was physical. This team was built on physicality. And it really worked. It worked. But man, a lot of impactful guys. Dante Whitner, Deshaun Goldston, Chris Culliver. And even with that ridiculous roster of linebackers, Navarro Bowman, Ahmad Brooks, Alden Smith, Patrick Willis, and even in the D line where you had Justin Smith and where you had Will Tokafu, Ray McDonald, just incredible. But this team, they fought. And it came all the way to the point where they were in the Super Bowl. So close. So close. So if you think about it, what's going to be different with the Chargers in the future than what it was with the 49ers, the Chargers will next year make serious moves with the cap going almost close to $100 million, 10 draft picks. They can go sign guys that want to be a part of this group, that want to be a part of this movement, and they can also draft guys that are meant to be a part of this. I haven't seen any Joe Burrow criticism when his team does not produce. Exactly. And the funny thing of it is that Joe Burrow, he's producing. It's not his fault that the fact that the defense is ass and so on and so forth. I mean, you could see it. This team is going to be great again. I know that we have like the election and everything, and we want America to be great again, but I do believe, though, this team will be great again. There is a lot of Herbert haters out there. Yeah, I don't understand why. They say he's overrated. They say he's never won a playoff game. They say that he can't win the big games. All this other stuff. I get tired of it. That is an opportunity for him to prove them wrong. I guarantee you that if Jim Harbaugh gets this team into the playoffs with this defense and with this roster, he wins a playoff game, people are going to shut their mouths and stop with the hate on Herbert. And then they're probably all going to end up loving him like, oh, I loved Herbert. Yeah, no, you didn't. You didn't even pay attention. You didn't even give this kid a shot at all. Not once. So at this point, what is there to say? What is there now? So this is why it is so important for the Chargers to build an extended future of excellence. And it's all going to start right here, right now. I know we would have wanted pieces. I do. But you know what? I could be happy of the fact that we did not end up getting risky and giving up much needed and important draft capital to do it. For that reason. Because there's something there that they see that we don't. So we have to be patient with that. But I trust Joe Ortiz, I trust Jim Harbaugh, and I trust this team more than anything. And I know these two are going to help to lead us to the promised land. I really do. If you all believe it, show off your bolts in the comments, guys, because we need that more than anything. We don't make a move, no problem. We're going to stick to our guns. We're going to trust our boys. We're going to trust Jim Harbaugh. We're going to trust Joe Ortiz. And we are going to trust that they are leading us in the right direction. Exactly. Herbert just needs good O-line pass protection, and we will see him in the greatest, be the greatest quarterback ever. In Harbaugh and Herbert, we trust. Exactly, guys. So show off the bolts. We're wrapping it up here tonight. I appreciate all of you guys for coming in here into the live stream. If you haven't done so already, I encourage you guys to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep you up to date on live streams, videos, and more. Share it out to every Charger fan out there because they need to know this. We need to be heard. Make the Chargers great again. This is how you do it. In Harbaugh and Herbert, we trust. This team will be back to itself again. Trust and believe. Never doubt. Take it 1 week at a time, one game at a time, and we will be there again. Appreciate all of you guys. Keep yourselves up to date. Take care of yourselves as well, because we know that this is an important night tonight. Well, I love every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for all of your guys' hard support here of the channel. We are on the road to try to get this thing 1K. That's what we're here to do. Cannot wait. Absolutely cannot wait. Appreciate all of you guys. Make sure you share it out. Let every Chargers fan voice be heard, because this is our opportunity to make this team great again. And this is the step that it's going to take for this team to get there. So let's get everybody together, rally the troops, rally everybody here so we can create, we can bring in, because we are the storm. Let that be heard from coast to coast. We are the storm. Appreciate all of you guys. See y'all soon. And always remember to bolt up. Let's go, Charger fans.